the type to play games, you can stake claims. Came to show the movement moving like a freight train, breaking walls and crumble earth with every step we take. We walking by with lash and your neck will break. Never let it stray, so say it wrong or set it straight. So coming at us with an awkward demeanor is leaving your life in the dead of fate. So pedal straight, avoid these shots, we send it all costs. Truly believing that it'll be different, we watching your body get hauled off. Simple as this, we giving the vibe of the revolution that we living within. Diminish the doubt of the haters that talk on the low because of this minuscule shit.
Oh, Peso, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Peso. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, more or less, on this lovely June morning, the 15th day of June in the year 2024. It is sunny. The sky is mostly blue, but the sun's out. I'll take what I can get. StreamYard's being very weird today. I'm receiving warnings I've never seen before, and I don't really know what they mean, so this may get cut off suddenly. The previous video I tried like recording 3 times before I finally was able to record it, so just letting you know. Today we're doing a video response to some comments I got yesterday. I made the video, as you know, about Player Core 2 from Pathfinder, and I was very negative because I think it's a totally pointless thing. But I was called out, and far be it from me not to, I mean, sometimes I'll just ignore it when I'm called out. You know, sometimes once I get on my soapbox, I'm like, there's nothing you're going to say that's going to get me off of my soapbox, i.e. Critical Role fans. That's another topic. But CooperativeWaffles, who has been commenting on my channel for quite a while now, pointed out some mistakes I might have made. So rather than be all like some YouTubers, I didn't want to be accused of being a liar. I'm many things. I'm an idiot. I'm an asshole. But I am not a liar. It's one of the few things I pride myself on. I may get things wrong, and if you point them out to me in a constructive way, I'll go back and double check. And if it turns out I am wrong, I'll make a video like this where I go, you know what? I fucked up. I'm an idiot. I was wrong. So CooperativeWaffles sent me some texts about my video, a Pathfinder Player Core 2. Apparently I made some mistakes. So we're going to read what he said, or she said, or they said. I really don't know. It's a waffle, so I don't know what gender waffles are. But he identifies as a waffle. So 20 hours ago, he told me Pathfinder Core editions are primarily to remove the WOTC D&D OGL from the books. The Orc license is being used moving forward. Each core book released for Pathfinder 2E is being released under the ORC license. All the rules for Pathfinder Core are freely available on websites such as Archives of Nethys. I'm going to give you guys the link to Archives of Nethys down below, and we're going to go there right now. Blah, 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 blah. If I can get it to work. Please do not crash. Please do not crash. Please do not crash. All right, so this is the Archives of Nethys. It was updated on the 2nd. Is the last time it was updated. Apparently, they're doing the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Core Player's Handbook Volume 2 updates. Now, this is probably, remember when they said they weren't going to use the word drow anymore because they didn't want to get into trouble with wizards, even though of all the things to change, that was like pointless. And then the way they're doing is like, oh, we're just completely erasing that. Everything you thought you know about drow is wrong. They don't exist in the world. That was another race that was doing it. But even though they still do exist in the world, you didn't have to change drow at all. Wizards of the Coast do not own drow. That is a word that predates Wizards of the Coast and an idea that predates Wizards of the Coast by a few 100 years. So yeah, that was one. But the other thing that they're doing, they're like, hey, we don't want Wizards of the Coast to come after us. We don't want to be accused of stealing any of their shit. Does that mean they're not using Strength, Dex, Con, Armor Class level anymore? I don't know. So that was the whole point. And then he goes on to say, the Pathfinder Advanced Player's Guide does not change the classes released in the Pathfinder's Player's Handbook. It updates those classes not covered from the first one. Stuff like that. Again, which sort of feels like 360 pages. Well, 280 plus art sort of feels unnecessary. As with all the releases, they exist to break away from the OGL, replacing it with the Orc license. Again, is that really necessary? The PF changes are not errata. They are just updating. So they're saying, hey, there's stuff that was in Pathfinder 1 that you might say is similar to D&D. Yeah, that was the whole point. Is Pathfinder First Edition was the D&D we all wanted instead of 4th Edition. And we loved Pathfinder First Edition for a very long time. For at least, 5-6 years, until Pathfinder First Edition started getting weird. Yeah, we loved it. And then Pathfinder Second Edition, I don't know enough about it. I've looked through my copy and I think I like First Edition better, but I love Starfinder. And I don't know why they didn't use Starfinder as the engine for Pathfinder 2, but now they're redoing Starfinder, so whatever. And then when the OGL thing happened last year, they said, oh, well, even though the whole OGL thing kind of happened because of us in the first place, back in the first time this happened, we are going to use the ORC instead, which includes, the references to wizards. So they had to rechange it, I guess. I don't know if they had to change the entire book and release a brand new 300-page book and then a second 300-page book just to say, hey, we don't want to be associated with that anymore. Because unless you're completely cutting ties and not using strength, dex, con, armor class levels and stuff like that, all you really need to do is scrub out the things that are part and partial 100% Wizards of the Coast, like the way we think of as beholders, the Wizards of the Coast beholder. You can't use that. And if that's in your book, then yeah, you need to change it. You can use Dro, you just can't use the Wizards of the Coast version of Dro. Their whole thing, that's theirs. But Dark Elves, that's not theirs. Dark Elves predate Wizards of the Coast by a few hundred years. So you could have used Dark Elves and been perfectly fine. Named spells are probably another one. You can't call it Tensor's Floating Disc anymore, but you could still call it disc that carries shit, or telekinetic disc or whatever. You can still use the idea. You just can't use the part and partial. So they released Pathfinder Core last year, which was supposed to, scrub anything that associated them with D&D and replace it with brand new stuff. Yeah, that's what I just said. Unless you're getting rid of strength, dex, con, armor class, wisdom, and making a brand new system that uses completely different stats and completely different methods, it's still the SRD. The ORC is just, doing what the OGL did, but in a different way, so that you can make stuff for all these different variations of D20, and hopefully you're protected from wizards and all the things wizards tried to do a year ago with the OGL nonsense. Basically it's so people can still make 5e product without being fucked with by Wizards of the Coast. And so people could continue to make all the wonderful and not so wonderful stuff that came out during the years that the OGL was still a thing. We can range all the way from Pathfinder and Mutants and Masterminds as some of the best to all the way down to Armageddon. What was it, 2026 or 2066, which was just an awful OGL game that I play tested, but it came out. Well, technically Wizards of the Coast didn't have the right to do what they tried to do anyways, but the orc and everything else was designed just to make sure going forward. And then Wizards released their new SRD, which says, oh, okay, well, we're blah, blah, blah. And people are like, oh, well, I guess Wizards is okay now. And they were like, oh, yeah, but you know what? When the new edition comes out, we're going to have a completely new, different SRD, and then you're fucked again. Really? Oh, no. Again, yes, they could, if they're just going through and erasing things that are direct references to Wizards of the Coast, like the Mind Flayer. You can't use the Mind Flayer because that is 100% Wizards of the Coast. But brain-eating tentacle monster? Well, that's stolen from Lovecraft, and Lovecraft predates Wizards of the Coast, and Lovecraft is open source, so you could still have brain-eating tentacle monsters in Pathfinder. That said, I completely understand what they're trying to do, and I guess, yes, I was wrong in that they're not just, hey, you know, completely changing them. They're remastering them. They're not paladins anymore. They're champions. They're not wizards anymore. They're spellcasters. They're not clerics anymore. They're zealots or whatever. But again, you know, so I apologize. I was wrong. I'm definitely not a liar to this individual who called me out a liar. Yeah, no, dude, that's yeah. The only person who was lying in that is you. But anyways, I made a mistake. That said, I still feel like 320 pages a year ago for $55 and 360 pages again for $55, $60 just to scrub stuff out and represent it in OGL feels unnecessary, especially if the stuff is free on archives. So I don't need to buy your book if you're putting it free. And if you are telling me, no, nothing's changed, we're just replacing. Well, as a player, that doesn't affect me. I mean, I think Wizards did send Pinkertons over to that guy's house, but generally I think that if you're playing Wizards D20, TSR D20, Pathfinder D20, Wretched D20, I don't think Wizards cares. I don't think Wizards is going to go to your house and go, you're playing Pathfinder 1, please stop. Because that uses our shit, you know? But they felt that in order to remain competitive and to remain separate, they had to change it, which rebuys these books. But again, then why buy the new books if all you're doing is just scrubbing and replacing and fixing? Because that's what he says. You know, CooperativeWaffles says it does not change anything. It just updates those that, you know, were released in other books, like the Investigators and stuff like that. And it now makes them available under the ORC instead of the OGL. So, like, you know, it goes back to them when their thing about we're not going to call them Drow anymore. We're just going to completely remove them. Because Drow is a Wizards of the Coast thing. So no more Dark Elves. We're going to have Cavern Elves instead or something. Some such nonsense. And again, you know what? You didn't have to remove Drow. All you had to do was change the background to something else. Desert Dwelling. Night Elves, a revision sheet to show what's altered. I think it's on here. And it says on the Paizo page. But again, I apologize that I made a mistake. I should have done my due diligence and really read through it. But, you know, the page, the minute I saw remastered 8 classes, 360 pages, I was like, okay, this just feels like unnecessary. If it's just an errata should either be free. PDFs of errata, you know, should either be free or unbelievable, like $5. If there's no art free updates, $5. With art, PDF, $8. POD, $20. If you got to have everything that we changed in a book, POD coupon, $20 on the Paizo website, $20 on Drive-Thru, and we'll send you the, you know, the little pocket paperback thing in 15 days or however long as it takes to. But a hardback 380-page book for $66. Even fucking up and getting everything wrong, I still have a hard time justifying that, especially if the stuff is on free. It's the same thing that Wizards did. They just, you know, Pathfinder's doing it differently, you know. You don't need to buy 2024 D&D. We're not changing everything, except, of course, we changed everything, and we're not going to support previous 2024 D&D, and we're going to have a completely different SRD for 2024 D&D, and we're not, but you don't have to buy it. You don't need it because we didn't change anything. Well, if you didn't change anything, then why make the book? Why charge me $66 just to get artwork that I don't want or care about? Why not just release a PDF, put a website where I can get it for free. If I want a PDF of the changes, $10. If I want the POD, $20. If I want the hardback, sure, $60. Whatever. I certainly don't want to pay an extra $30 just for art. Or you could just forget everything I said over the past 15 minutes. Take your hard-earned $10, head on over to DriveThruRPG and buy my Wretched Vigilantes bundle for $9. $9 includes everything that I have released on DriveThruRPG for the Wretched Vigilantes storyline so far. So why spend $15, $30, $66 on Pathfinder friends when you can take your hard-earned $10 bill, walk on over to DriveThruRPG, head on over to the OGGM store and buy yourselves the Wretched Vigilantes Superhero Summer Bundle featuring our mascot, Tag. And if it's popular enough, we'll be releasing some more stuff. So yeah, just ignore everything I said for the past 15 minutes and buy my merch instead. In regards to the individual who's claiming I'm lying about them, no, I'm not, and I can prove it. Till next time, I'm the OGGM. If you appreciate this content, let me know. If you don't appreciate this content, you let me know. Again, apologize, and thank you for calling me out, Cooperative Waffles. If you haven't given Cooperative Waffles a subscribe yet, link down below. He's a waffle who works for a corporation. What's not to love? But now I will buy a 24-year-old system again that way. True. I mean, if you already have 3.5, you really do not need any of these other things. That said, there was some stuff in Pathfinder I loved. But again, you know, hindsight being 2020, did I really need it? Till next time, I'm the OGGM. Have a great Saturday. The sun's out, so let's go outside. Till next time, you know what to do.